Hey, and welcome to Sports Business Insider. I am Denzel Snipes, and I'm here with Sean Rusty as we bring to you every single week the inner workings and educations of sports from the business standpoint. So, before we get started here, we will be talking tonight on Marvin Harrison Jr., Fanatics deals, and more. He just recent reports came in that he had yet to sign a deal and everything, so we'll get a little bit into that. But check us out on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Hit the like and subscribe button if you are catching us on YouTube. Also, follow us on all the other platforms as well. Also, before we get started, we're going to run through our lineup here. Sideline Sports Show Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is with uh, John Shearer, JB Ellis, Dave DeRocher, and Rafael Esparza, produced by yours truly. We had an excellent show just last night, so go and check that out and check us out every Tuesday. Also, the hottest Top Rope Talk wrestling show on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's myself, the wrestling professor, Billy Cruz. Just this past week, we on Monday rather, we had our good fellow of mine, Martez Turner, who does sports talk up in the DFW area. Shout out to him. Did a WWE Backlash France recap episode, which is great. Go and find that and tune us to us on Mondays. Also, there's Hawk Talk with Dave DeRocher and Walt Thurman III. Yes, the Legion of Boom's on Walter Thurman III. That is Tuesdays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Sideline Sports Network. Seattle Seahawks centric show. There's been a lot of guests who have come on. Seahawks of both the past and the present. It's great material. If you are a Seahawks fan, so please check that out. And so we'll go ahead and get started here. First off, how you doing tonight, Sean?
Everything's going good, man. Nice to see you again this week.
Yeah. No doubt about it, man. How the birthday go?
Everything went well.
Oh,
Um, I appreciate it.
cool. No doubt at all. So we'll go ahead and get started here. And so our wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. and NFL likeness deal. So the first thing we want to touch on is on NFL group licensing, and let's see here. So the NFLPA deal that allows the NFL to market Harrison to over 800 companies. Are the ones who were in on it were LeVar Arrington, Bill Belichick, and Thurman Thomas as well, and also Jim Kelly and Bernie Kosar. But I'll let the man here explain a little bit more into that. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, it's interesting what he's doing, right? He's trying to leverage a deal that he was offered back as a sophomore in college that he decided not to sign.
Right.
That Fanatics has really come into play with the NIL, has made a lot of those offers to guys around that sophomore junior year before they make the jump. I guess
Oh
the
wow.
biggest sticking point in that deal is that deal extends into their first 2 years of their NFL careers, and there's some
Hmm.
debate if the value is fair once they hit the NFL, and if they're if the value is that shouldn't be a little higher once they're out of the college realm.
Right.
Harrison is now using you know him saying, well, I'm not going to give the NFL my likeness if I can get this from you guys,
Right.
which is a deal that is in excess worth, potentially over $1 million. A lot of it goes into obviously his popularity right now. He's a first round draft pick. His dad's obviously a Hall of Famer, and he's got a lot of momentum just being that first round draft pick. But a year and a half from now, God forbid he was hurt or wasn't the guy he was at Ohio State. What will those sales be? And I think that's where kind of it's an odd decision for me to see him not sign this deal. I feel like he could make more money signing the licensing deal with the NFLPA versus going with Fanatics.
Hmm.
I understand he has a lot of name power that other guys coming out of college don't have. Not everybody has a Hall of Fame father, as playing the same position that they're coming out and playing. And he was also, obviously the number 4 draft pick. So I think there's a lot of momentum there to make some money now.
Yeah. Right.
I think the NFLPA protects you for making money throughout. God forbid something again. If he's not the guy who he was at Ohio State for whatever reason, whether it just doesn't work out, he doesn't catch on, and these are just hypotheticals. I'm no way in saying Marvin Harrison's going to be a bust. We're just playing devil's advocate here in terms of why Marvin Harrison may or may not be signing this NFLPA licensing deal.
Could it be that he's betting on himself?
Yeah, I mean, and that seems to be the route he wants to take. He's got his own website that produces his own jerseys currently. Obviously, there's no Cardinal logo. There can't be any NFL logo. It's
No.
almost the same rules that you get as an NIL guy in college. You can
Hmm.
go sell merchandise, but it can't have the college logo. It can't look like the college logo. You can't use the majority of the college colors. It has to be a certain percentage. I think that um, he's taking a risk. And like I said, right now the money may be the same. I think long term is where you get into, can his brand get that large to where he could say the deal with Fanatics was worth more than what he would have gotten from royalties and other deals that the NFLPA would automatically plug and play him in type of deal.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. And so with that being said, and I see here that there's actually some NBA examples.
Yeah, so I wanted to just point out some, especially just how the PAs work, some differences. The NBA actually allows players to be a part of the union, but then a la carte their likeness. They can kind of decline what
Oh.
parts of the marketing that the NBA is allowed to use, and that's why, the big names that we haven't seen. MJ was famously, absent from video games for a long time, and that's because he pulled his name out of the NBA pool in 97, 98. Didn't put it back in till he signed his own negotiated likeness deal with NBA 2K. I believe that was 2K11,
Yeah.
and they've carried on that deal. But it's an individual deal for MJ. He's not part of the NBA PA in terms of their group deal. He's not part of the 900 players that automatically get put in the game. He has his own separate contract with NBA 2K. Charles Barkley is another one, hasn't appeared since NBA Live 98. He claims that he would appear if 2K would put the money towards the retired players funds, which obviously is a good cause for Barkley to stomp on. Um, obviously Charles doesn't need the money for his likeness. Now, on the other side of the coin, Reggie Miller, his former broadcast partner, he's saying he's not being offered enough for the likeness, whereas Charles is saying, I don't need it, give it to the retired guys.
Ha.
Miller's like, no, I'm worth more than whatever your offer is currently. But those guys have other deals in place that the NBA, gives to them, but they can a la carte these portions of their likeness as they see fit. That's why you see Barkley on other commercials and stuff. He's done those deals on his own.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's where the NFL, I don't think it hurts them to be exclusive like that once you sign that, and that's automatically you're in Madden and automatically you're a part of this. The
Yeah. Like
big
every
the big
single year.
yeah, the big separator in the Madden is the cover, right? Every other player is just part of the game and gets the same check. Obviously, the cover guy gets a little bit more.
For being the
Um,
cover guy. Yeah.
but I think taking yourself out of that plug and play where it could be risky. Depending how his on the field play and how popular he becomes after the draft momentum kind of calms down. I think that's the only risk. I don't blame the guy for banking on himself. Um, I just don't think maybe the way he's gone about it is the best way. And maybe that's where, again, if he had an agent, as we know, Marvin Harrison does not have an agent, maybe there would be more some directive, a better game plan in play, and just instead of just trying to leverage a deal where Fanatics probably can't actually match what he would make if he's as popular as we think he's going to be in the NFL. He could probably make a lot more through the NFLPA licensing deal, in my opinion.
Hmm. Okay. And with no drawbacks, no nothing. So he might have been right for turning down the deal then.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's still talks that he's close to signing with Fanatics. Maybe they come in at a higher number.
Okay.
That would eliminate his jersey from being sold on NFL.com.
Oh.
He would essentially have his own line, on Fanatics. Um, I don't know if there would be a way where Fanatics pays the NFL a royalty to get the logos on his jersey, because
Yeah.
the way it's structured right now is if he's on his own, it's just his number on the jersey and maybe cardinal red, but there can't be any logos on
But it
there.
can't be any logos. Yeah. I mean, it can have
Um,
his name, of course.
yeah, his name, of course, yeah, and that's kind of what he's selling on his site right now. I believe they're going for 199.
Oh wow.
Is his jersey with his name on it. And he's got other merchandise on his site as well that he's signed and some game use stuff. And that's the kind of direction Fanatics would take. For me, I think even just outside of being an agent as a sports fan, I think what you see is the popular athletes, especially with these game used items, they just become second nature for these guys, even as their careers go. I don't
Right.
think you necessarily need a separate deal with Fanatics to make money off your game used items. I won't name the player, but he famously put away a bunch of game used items in a storage unit and has been living off that for years. Uh,
Oh.
so I don't understand why players don't take that attitude more now instead of being so like again he's betting on himself. I think it's a little more conscious of this is my brand, my likeness. I don't want anybody messing with it type of thing. But I think the NFL's marketing machine has proven more than capable of being protective and putting players in a good light and with good companies as well, not companies that are questionable. We're talking Pepsi, Verizon. They're putting them with huge companies that don't have
Yeah.
reputation issues.
Yeah.
Um, so again, and we're going to use Tom Brady as the example because he was obviously the most popular player for several years in jersey sales. In
Absolutely.
1 year, Tom Brady made 2.3 million, 5 million off his jersey sales.
Damn.
Harrison, not saying he's going to be as popular as Tom Brady, but if you take that number into account and then you look at the Fanatics deal, which is only right now hypothetically in excess of 1 million and not knowing how far it could go,
Uh
he
huh.
could be leaving a lot of money on the table just off of jersey sales.
Hmm. But by signing with the NFLPA deal, he can make that back and then some. Well, I guess depending on what they offer.
Yeah, and then obviously it goes by quantity that's bought and everything else that they're able to put them into. And the one thing with the any union, the NFL, the MLB, NBA, once you're a part of it, you're a part of it forever. Even once you're a retired player, you're still a part of the union and still part of the marketing part, unless you obviously again like MJ took his name out. But Peyton Manning, his first year retired, made 902,000 from the NFLPA marketing licensing deal.
Oh wow. Oh, just off his jersey and likenesses and all that.
Yeah, and that was his first year retired out of football. So I think there's a lot of long term stuff that I'm not sure Harrison's camp is taking into account. I'm not sure how well a one off site does after retirement um, versus having a site that's always going to draw drones of fans. The Cardinal fans are more likely to be on NFL.com shopping versus MarvinHarrison.com after retirement.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And well, with that being said, our next and last topic. I know you wanted to touch on the next step in NIL. What you got for us?
Ye- Yeah, and I think this could be maybe this is just an outlier. Like you listed off some of the names earlier: LeVar Arrington, Bill Belichick, Sean Payton, some of these other guys that just decided not to sign the deal. And there's not a whole lot of names. The list is probably less than 20 to 30 guys across all the sports that decided not to sign these licensing agreements. But they
Hmm.
include some big names. Barry Bonds is a famous one that didn't sign his MLBPA deal for a long time. Took his name in and out. Nolan Ryan, Wayne Gretzky on the hockey side, and these guys, on the video game side, since we've talked about that, those guys developed their own games. Nolan Ryan's fast pitch, Wayne Gretzky's hockey,
Hmm.
and they decided, I don't need my likeness in an EA Sports game or to be paid by whoever was producing hockey at that time. I'll just produce my own game and make every dollar off the game,
Right.
essentially. Um, but not to get too far off, I think what Harrison is doing could potentially set up where you see more evolution of the name, image, likeness coming out of college, and then these guys following, not following, but continuing to build just their own brand and staying out of the likenesses and marketing agreement with the NFL. I think it's going to really depend on Harrison's success of how well he does here with this way he's doing things. If he's successful, I think you're going to see other players follow. It's no different than when a team all of a sudden institutes the QB sneak butt push, and then all of a sudden everybody's doing it. I think if this domino falls and it's successful, I think you could see other top picks or even guys that are not top picks maybe decide to go this route if they have a big enough brand coming out of college.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing, obviously, again, not everybody is going to have Harrison's name power coming out of college. I
True.
think it's a huge momentum for him. It helps him out a lot to continue to, sit here and hold out of this deal and try to see what he can get out of Fanatics. And then on the Fanatics side, I think it makes them a big player every year to potentially be snatching up top five picks and keeping them out of the NFLPA licensing deal. And how does the NFL respond? Do they up the royalty percentage? Do they start looking at top 10 picks as guys that need their own negotiated marketing deals, like
Yeah.
it could take on a life of its own depending how successful Marvin Harrison Jr. is.
Who you think is doing a better job right now without an agent? Marvin Harrison Jr. or Caleb Williams?
I think right now, I would say Caleb is taking the safer approach without an agent. I think Marvin Harrison is obviously,
A little
like you
more
said,
riskier.
betting on himself a lot,
Yeah, a
taking a
little more
little bit of a
riskier.
riskier approach. And again, my only thing is playing devil's advocate. What if you step on preseason game one and you tear an Achilles, God forbid, and
Right.
then what happens? All and not that it would be too late to sign the marketing deal at that point with the NFLPA, but what is your value at that point if you're not the same player when you come back the next year?
True.
And then what does that do to your marketing deal with Fanatics if you were continuing to leverage deep into the summer? Um, so I think that and I understand that I'm sure his father, I believe it's been reported his mom is also helping in terms of these negotiations.
Okay.
Um, but I think that he's really just betting on himself. I think an agent would be able to maybe tell him, hey, maybe we don't do this so publicly.
True.
Um, where this has obviously become very trending news over the last couple of days, especially as it seems that he's getting closer to signing this Fanatics deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's believed, by some that he may have already signed it. It's just not announced.
Yeah.
Um, but and again, the is believed to be just in excess of over 1 million. I'd be interested to see what his percentage he's going to get back on the sales, so you can kind of then determine did he sign a deal better than what he would get with the NFLPA.
Yeah.
Um, and I think maybe if this doesn't work, then maybe down the line he goes and gets an agent. Right now, he can continue to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and see what Fanatics does. Um, I think again, it's Fanatics too saying like if they budge on this, what happens with the next guy they're trying to do a negotiation with? He's going to look at Marvin Harrison Jr. and go, I could just wait, not sign my licensing deal, and you guys will give me what I want.
True. But
So I mean,
Marvin,
there's a lot of moving parts.
it is. Now Marvin Harrison would essentially have to be a success in his first year to jumpstart that start that because if he ends up being like Luster, and granted, yeah, he's a rookie, still got a whole career to go. But something like this could set the precedent for future players. Should he have a break? He
Absolutely.
comes out there, man. He puts up like 1,500 yards receiving and like 10 touchdowns, and he makes
No,
something
absolutely.
sort of message like, "Hey, players, you see what I did? If you bet on yourself, wait."
Yep. No, and then he can point out that he didn't have to pay 3% or 15% of a marketing fee to any agent, and he's made X amount. I mean, if he comes out and balls out, as expected, obviously that's the expectation, right? He's number one on fantasy rookie draft boards across everybody's, media outlets. He's
Yeah.
expected to be, NFC Rookie of the Year, NFL Rookie of the Year. He's expected to do all these things, right? So if expectations go as planned, yeah, he could be setting a precedent where other guys go, okay, I'm gonna try it too.
Mm,
And then on the devil's advocate side, if some of these guys bet on themselves, get hurt, then maybe come before the second contract. Maybe then they reach out to the agent when they know that negotiation is going to be even harder because the team will use your injury history against you. Now,
yes,
if you
they
stay
will.
healthy, maybe you continue to stay without an agent because then all you're doing is playing off your value and your talent. And
Yeah,
there's not a
pretty
whole lot,
much.
of knock you can do if you have a clean injury history. Not a whole lot of teams can be like, oh, we don't want to give you this because you were hurt for 6 weeks this past season and we're not sure. You stay clean and that excuse goes away and maybe it allows him to stay doing what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Instagram, and X as well. For Sean Rusty, I'm Denzel Snipes. We will see you next week for Sports Business Insider. Take care.